Now, again, if we're going to truly talk about accountability, we'll go to our final story here, and we want to talk about the victimization class of the body positivity crowd. Now, this is going to come in a way that's a little bit different because we're not going to be talking about the Lizzos of the world. We're going to be talking about those who actually have nice bodies, and now they have joined the victimized class and are complaining that they have to work hard on their bodies to actually look good. But obviously, the body positivity issue is the reason why it's really dangerous. Is because ultimately, body positivity is all about advocating for unhealthy body types and unhealthy lifestyles. Like this is not the kind of thing that compassionate people do. They encourage healthy dieting and healthy lifestyles. We don't say any body type you are, no matter how morbidly obese you are, is positive. And we have to be careful about the messages that we're sending to people, especially when it comes from somebody who actually has a nice body that's ideal, that we should want to look up to and we should respect. And this is coming from a person I've never heard of before, but apparently a WWE star, Leah Vandale. And she said this: WWE star Leah Vandale says she felt pressure to have a six-pack. As a wrestler, you need to have a specific What? Wrestlers are challenged to have a six-pack? No, friend. Well, wait, wait a second. Are we talking about sumo wrestlers? No, WWE. Okay, yes, actually, I've heard wrestling, by the way, called a bodybuilding soap opera. So it's a soap opera with bodybuilders, and that's exactly what wrestling is, by the way. I'm sorry for those of you in the South who grew up watching wrestling. I'm at NWO. I'm with you. I loved Hulk Hogan as a kid. He was my man. I've got a picture of him. You can see it right here. And so I met him just recently. But anyway, so yes, I grew up watching wrestling too, at the risk of revealing that I grew up kind of white trashy. I watched it. I liked it. But I'm sorry to reveal to you that, yes, wrestling, for those hardened, hardcore, beer-drinking rednecks, wrestling is a soap opera with bodybuilders. It's the weirdest thing ever. But nonetheless, people like it. And while I no longer wish to ever watch a single episode, because even wokeness has now found its way into wrestling, I still need to mention it to you because there's a dangerous flip side for what Leah Vandale wants to try to communicate here, even though she thinks she's virtue signaling and she's finding solidarity with the fat people of the world. And by the way, fat is a body type now. That's what they want to be called. Anyhow, she'll go on and she says things like this in this article about her marginalized and difficult lifestyle because she had to work on her six-pack. She said, "I truly hate the, oh, I want to see you eat. What are you going to eat? Make sure you eat that," she says. No matter the intention, Vandale says the comments are offensive and reductive. Now, we get this a lot, by the way, on social media as it pertains to the whiz kids that think they know something about raising children. That they say, we want our children to have a healthy relationship with food, so telling them to finish your plate is not healthy. Now, she's, I think, saying this more broadly, but I just want to address this as it pertains to kids to give you some parenting pro tips. Finish your plate is incredibly healthy. When your children say, I don't like this, it's typically not a plea of honesty. I know those little children, the utopianists want to believe that they were born perfect and would never tell a lie, but ultimately they're typically looking for Fruity Pebbles or tricks or something with marshmallows. Lucky Charms will do. By the way, the Lucky Charms, can we just stop the denial? I mean, a while back, I guess we did start it. We just now make Lucky Charms with just the marshmallows. The Lucky Charms is only good for the marshmallows. Let's just be really clear. So ultimately, when kids are just saying that they don't like what's in front of them, they're only saying, please give me the sugar alternative. And if you're a good parent, you say, no, you finish your plate, and then maybe we'll talk about something like that. Also, whatever happened, these leftists that are all up in the body positivity movement, whatever happened to like wastefulness is bad? Some part of me misses old school liberals because they were the ones who were saying, hey, there's hungry kids in Africa. You need to finish your plate. Like, there's some truth to that. We want our kids not to be wasteful. And more importantly, we want our kids to be healthy. And if they don't ever eat good food, what's placed in front of them, they won't be. And we want them to be grateful for what they are given. This is incredibly important. Because little children are born ungrateful and they want what they want and not what they don't want, right? They're like all of us, except we have to realize the hard facts of life that sometimes vegetables just have to be eaten, regardless of whether you want to complain about it or not. So complaining about someone urging you to do something you don't want to do is incredibly unhealthy. There's all sorts of things that we should do, regardless of if we want to do it or not. So yeah, kids, finish your plate, drink your milk, eat your vitamins. But there's a final point that I wanted to point out here. She makes one more statement that I think is important to notice. She says, when I started out, I had so much pressure, like I have to be fit. I want to have a six pack. I need to keep this up. I mean, as a wrestler, you need to have a specific physique. Yeah. And look a certain way. And that's kind of what set me apart too, as I always had a defined body and things like that. And I tried to keep that up, she says. This often meant pushing her body past its limits to the brink of exhaustion. For a long time, I was always lifting weights and tearing my body apart on the road with wrestling. Then when I'm home, I'm lifting weights and I was just feeling so weak. My body was hurting so much. This woman just accidented her way into an argument, actually, that I think is very important. The way your body builds muscle is it tears into your muscles and then it rebuilds muscles on top of those tears. That's the way a body builds more muscle mass and the way the body becomes strong. It tears down and then it builds up, almost like the way we should be living life. That we should be confronted with realities, tear down false idols, and then rebuild truth in its place. So she kind of accidents her way into that argument, but just a final comment about this. The reason she was working hard was so that she could make hundreds of thousands of dollars and hundreds of thousands of followers on social media. And we're supposed to feel sorry for you for this? You had a wonderful physique and you had hundreds of thousands of dollars, more money than most people will ever make in their life, and more followers on social media, more than most people will ever find, and we're supposed to feel sorry for you. So it's very clear here, at the end of the day, that this woman wants to claim victimized status because all of the followers and all of the money didn't actually make her happy. And so now she's journeyed into the world of intersectionality and identity politics and the body positivity movement to try to tell the world that, oh, this is an artificial goal. You can't make this happen for you. And we need to quit putting these standards before people because they're incredibly marginalizing and oppressive. No, more importantly, the lesson that we should take away from this woman's life is that thousands of followers and thousands of dollars don't really make you happy. Just like victimization doesn't make you happy. The oppression Olympics doesn't make you happy. It just makes you bitter. Anyway, all the money in the world and all the fame in the world will never be enough to fill your soul. And apparently, because this woman isn't even willing to fill her body because she doesn't even want to eat the food that's placed in front of her. But all jokes aside, we're dealing with an existential crisis that comes as a result of the death of God that's been happening since the 70s and even before that. And here are people like myself along the way, along this journey called life, crying out to those of you who have looked for life in the garbage bins of society, saying that there is real life found in something that is much more eternal and much more permanent. Now, I want to make one final plea here because, again, as I was watching the movie Jesus Revolution, I couldn't help but think about the trans community. If you just happen to be watching this and you're in the detransitioner community and you started to realize that the things that were promised you in the gender-affirming care big pharma community, and you realize that there was nothing at the bottom of that other than pain, I want to encourage you that the journey that you've been on has been leading you to this very moment where you could possibly even hear the words that are coming out of my mouth now to tell you that there is hope in Jesus, that you weren't able to find it in gender-affirming care. You weren't able to find it in drugs and puberty blockers and the like, but you can find it in something much bigger and more permanent, and you can find it in your soul when you accept Christ. Now, I don't often do this on the show because I don't want to turn this into a Bible study or a mere opportunity for evangelism. I want you to know the truth, and then I want you to think about the truth for yourself. But let me just stand at one side today and just tell you this. As you start to grapple with truth in a world of lies, you will find that there's a book And there's a man that walked the seas of Galilee that is there to help you every step along the way if you're willing to cry out to him. And I can only hope if you're a Christian and you're watching this that you're aiding in that mission to help those in the victimized and the oppressed communities and thinking that they'll find life there. You're helping those people come out by telling the truth. And if you are, I'd love to hear from you down in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And most importantly, go with God.